Nikki Haley, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Ambassador, great to see you back again.
Oh, great to be with you.
Thank you for coming in. So a lot of talk about HTS, what it's really all about, and its leader, Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, and whether or not he is a bad guy or if he's a good guy. We had the incoming National Security Advisor sitting here an hour ago. Here's what he said. Listen here.
The jury's out. So far, at least, I mean, the guy's a terrorist. The organization is a declared terrorist organization. But we haven't seen Assad regime officials hanging from bridges. We haven't seen mass beheadings, ISIS style. They're literally sitting in a Four Seasons right now, John, talking with former regime officials about how to govern the place and how to take things down. So we're watching closely.
So what are you thinking? Opportunity for a new dawn in the Middle East, or is this the possible brewing of a new Afghanistan?
I think it's an opportunity for sure, but we can't take our eyes off of it. What we have to keep in mind is none of this would have been possible without Israel. Israel was able to take down the Hezbollah leadership. Israel's been able to weaken Iran. At the same time, you go and you see that Russia is distracted with Ukraine. I dealt with the Syrian issue a lot at the United Nations. We saw this was a dictatorship that spanned over 50 years between the father and the son. Assad was known as the butcher of Damascus. He spared no political opponent. He was brutal in his use of chemical weapons against women and children, to the point that he would take out the hospital so that they would choke to death and couldn't get any care. But what you see is when Israel did this, Turkey saw an opportunity. So Turkey, who has always wanted to see Assad weakened, has come in. Russia typically did airfare cover for Syria. They could no longer do it. Iran typically did ground troops by use of Hezbollah. They could no longer do it, so Assad was weakened and had to flee. What does Turkey want? Turkey wants two things. Turkey wants to make sure that the Kurds no longer have their border lined up. They want to make sure that the Kurds move back and they get more control. Secondly, Turkey took in 4 million Syrian refugees. They want to be able to send them home to a safe place. I went to the refugee camps. I saw Syrians are very well skilled, good business people, all of that. So when they went into Turkey, they started taking jobs. They started taking up the schools and the hospitals, and the Turkish citizens became very resentful. Erdogan wants to be able to send them back to Syria, and he would like for things to be calm.
That's potentially a way to do it.
But HTS is an ally of Erdogan and Turkey. So keep that in mind when you're looking at
that could present some complications as well, because he's a NATO ally sometimes. Iran really on its back foot after all of this. Yet we learn 2 days after the election on November the 7th, the Biden administration green-lighted another $10 billion of waiving of sanctions against Iran. I mean, are you going to hold their feet to the fire, or are you going to help them?
I mean, this is really, when you think about the brutality that Iran has done, whether it's through Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis, or you think about Biden claiming Israel as a friend, why would you go and support the #1 sponsor of terror with $10 billion of a waiver? Now, they're going to say, oh, but this was done in the last administration. Well, keep in mind, that was before October 7th. That was before Russia and Ukraine got into a war. That's before all of the assassination attempt on Trump. It was before assassination plots on me and Trump and other Americans on American soil. And now you're going to continue to give it? It goes to show the moral compass is totally off, and it's completely wrong. This is a big opportunity for President Trump right now, because if he goes, the first thing he should be doing is he should be getting on the phone with Erdogan and Turkey. Turkey is pro-Ukraine. Keep that in mind. Turkey is pro-Ukraine. So if Trump wants to, continue to weaken Iran, and he wants to go and bring the Russia-Ukraine war to the end, the answer is get on the phone and talk to Turkey and Erdogan. There are 2 military bases in Syria. They'd want to make sure that they got that back. There's leverage there to be had.
Well, apparently Ukrainian intelligence was helping the Syrian rebels with drones. So, okay, just before you go, you're going to be back in the presidential game in 2028?
Oh, I'm not even thinking about that right now. You know what I hope is that this administration does well for the good of America, for the good of national security. So we'll cheer it on. I've always called it. When it's good, I call it good. And when it's bad, I call it bad. But we're hoping for a lot of good.
Well, this is going to be a lot of change.
And that's a good thing.
That's for sure. Ambassador, always great to see you. Spend time with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for dropping by. Appreciate it. Sandra?